Imagine for a moment that you have finally escaped the weight of this world. You have traversed the cold, silent valley of death, leaving behind the axe of a hin, the sting of betrayal, the exhaustion of daily labor, and the relentless noise of a broken society. You have arrived at a place of profound, eternal peace, a threshold where the anxieties of the body are nothing more than a forgotten dream. Everything is clear, everything is light, and the struggle is finally over. Now, imagine that just as your soul settles into this perfect serenity, you are suddenly pulled back. You are dragged back into a cold, decaying cell of flesh, forced to breathe air that burns your lungs again, and compelled to face the very trials you were promised golden. This is the story of Lazarus, the man who experienced the greatest miracle in history, yet perhaps experienced the greatest personal sacrifice as well. Before we dive into this profound mystery of faith, if you find yourself seeking a deeper, more resilient connection with God in your daily walk, please consider subscribing to our channel so we can explore these biblical revelations together every single week. The resurrection of Lazarus is one of the most famous events in the Gospel of John, chapter 11. We often look at it as a triumph, a moment where Jesus displayed his absolute authority over the physical realm. We see the tears of Mary and Martha, the frustration of the disciples, and the sheer audacity of Jesus calling a dead man out of the tomb. But have you ever paused to consider the perspective of Lazarus himself? We are told that Jesus loved Lazarus, along with his sisters Mary and Martha. Their home in Bethany was a refuge for the Savior, a place where a cold retreat from the hostility of the religious leaders in Jerusalem. Lazarus was not just a random beneficiary of a miracle, it was a friend. Because of this, his death hit the household with a devastating force. When Jesus finally arrived, 4 days after the tomb had been sealed, the situation seemed hopeless. The body of Lazarus was in a state of decay. Martha spoke what everyone felt, noting that by this time, the body would be decaying. Yet, Jesus commanded the stone to be rolled away, and called for Lazarus to come forth. What did Lazarus see in those 4 days? The Bible remains intentionally silent on this. It does not provide us with a description of his experience, and for good reason. The focus of the scripture is not the experience of the individual, but the authority of the Son of God. However, we can use our biblical imagination to understand the magnitude of what occurred. Lazarus was not merely resuscitated like a patient in a modern hospital. It was brought back from a state of total cessation of life. It had crossed the bridge. It had likely glimpsed the majesty of God, the absence of pain, and the fulfillment of the spiritual loneliness that every human heart carries. Then, the call came. Did it want to return? Perhaps the most difficult part of this miracle was the transition from the glory of the beyond back into the limitations of the earthly. Lazarus had to walk out of that tomb, his limbs stiff, his eyes struggling to adjust to the blinding light of the midday sun, and his mind likely reeling from the return to a fallen world. Reflect on why this happened. Why would Jesus subject a beloved friend to the trauma of dying twice? The answer lies in the deeper purpose of the divine plan. Jesus was preparing his disciples and the public for his own upcoming resurrection. By raising Lazarus, Jesus was not just performing a grand gesture of mercy for a grieving family. It was teaching a lesson that would become the bedrock of the Christian faith. It told Martha that he is the resurrection and the life. It was proving that for those who believe in him, even if they die, they will live. If we look at the history of the Old Testament, we see glimpses of the dead being raised, such as through the prophets Elijah and Elisha. However, Jesus was doing something different. It was not just restoring life. It was declaring that the power of death had been officially broken. Lazarus was the living, breathing proof that the grave had no final say. Think about the life of Lazarus after the tomb. The Bible mentions him sitting at the table with Jesus shortly after his return. Imagine the silence of that room. You can almost feel the weight of his presence. Everyone must have been staring at him, wondering what it was like to be in the valley. Did he speak of it? The account suggests he lived a life of quiet testimony. Evecame a target for the religious authorities who wanted to destroy the evidence of Jesus' power. They wanted to kill Lazarus again, not because he had committed a crime, but because his very existence was an indictment of their disbelief. Lazarus had to life as a living sermon. It was a walking reminder of grace, but it was also a man who had to navigate the jealousy and anger of the world that then cayed back into. This is a powerful lesson for us today. Many of us go through seasons where we feel we have died a thousand deaths, emotional, financial, or spiritual, only to be brought back by God to continue a journey we do not fully understand. Why would God bring us back to our struggles when we have finally found a moment of peace? It is often because our purpose is not yet finished. Lazarus was allowed to return because his life served as a bridge for others to come to fight. Your life, in its seasons of resurrection after personal defeat, serves the same function. When you stand up after a crushing blow, when you find hope again after a period of despair, you are essentially coming out of your own tomb. You are a testimony to those around you who think they are beyond saving. The struggle of Lazarus was not in vain. By accepting the return to life, Evecame a central witness to the fact that Jesus is indeed the King of life. We often fail to see our own suffering as part of a larger, divine narrative. We focus on the pain of the present, forgetting that we are being positioned as witnesses to the power of God. Consider the practical implications of this. How do we live like Lazarus? We live with the understanding that we have been given a second chance. We live with the knowledge that this world is not our final destination. Yet we engage with it fully because we have been sent back for a reason. We are tasked with being the light, even when we would rather remain in the peace of the heavenly realm. It is a sacrifice of sorts to live in a broken world when you have tasted the promise of heaven. But that is the call of the disciple. We are called to be in the world but not of it, carrying the scent of the eternal into the shadows of the temporal. Ask yourself this. What is the stone that needs to be rolled away in your life? Is it fear, unforgiveness, or a lack of trust in God's timing? Just as Jesus called Lazarus, is calling you to move past the decay of your past and step into the light of your current purpose. Do you feel like you are currently trapped in the silence of a tomb? Maybe it is a season of waiting where you hear nothing but silence from heaven. Maybe you are grieving a loss that feels as permanent as a grave. Remember that the silence of God is not the absence of God. When Lazarus was 4 days dead, it was not forgotten. It was exactly where it needed to be for the glory of God to be revealed. Sometimes, we have to reach the point where human help is impossible so that we can clearly see the hand of God in motion. The delay was part of the miracle. Your delay is part of your testimony. The suffering you endure today is refining you, preparing you to bear witness to the power that will eventually rise you, just as it was Lazarus. We must learn to trust the timing of the Savior, even when the clock seems to have run out. As we look at the trajectory of the Gospel, we see that the resurrection of Lazarus was the spark that ignited the final events leading to the cross. It was the sign that made it impossible for the authorities to ignore Jesus any longer. When you decide to live for God, when you step out of your own limitations and walk in faith, you will inevitably face opposition. The world, though, is not always welcome to those who have been transformed by the power of God. But remember, you have already been to the other side of your own fears. You have seen that God is greater than your circumstances. Does this perspective change how you view your current trials? If you have been brought out of the darkness once, why do you doubt that it will be there for the next challenge? This is the core of spiritual maturity, learning to lean on the evidence of past miracles to fuel the hope of future breakthroughs. The story of Lazarus is a reminder that we are a part of a larger story. We are not used living for ourselves. Our lives are meant to point toward the reality of the Creator. When we suffer, we are not suffering for nothing. We are suffering in a way that allows us to eventually say that we have fought the good fight and finished the race. Lazarus eventually passed away again, as a man though, but his second life was a bold declaration of the truth. He lived with the certainty of what lies beyond, and that allowed him to walk through his remaining days with a profound sense of peace. That same peace is available to you. It is the peace that comes from knowing that the grave is not the end, and that the one who carried Lazarus out is the same one who calls you by name today. As you reflect on this journey, think about the people in your life who need to see you walk out of your tomb. They are waiting for your testimony of resilience. They are waiting to see how you handle the transition back into the light after a difficult season. Your ability to persevere is the most powerful tool you have to lead others to the truth of the gospel. Do not minimize your struggles, but do not let them define your destiny. You are much more than the wounds you carry. You are a child of God, a testament to His grace, and a witness to His power. Each small victory you achieve today is a step further from the grave and a step closer to the ultimate purpose God has for your life. Celebrate these small steps, for they are the building blocks of your fight. In conclusion, the story of Lazarus teaches us that while the journey through the valley of the shadow of death is painful, it is never the final chapter. Whether we are facing the loss of a dream, the death of a relationship, or the crushing weight of our own failures, we are never beyond the reach of the voice that commands even the dead to rise. We must learn to trust that God's timing is perfect, even when it feels like we have been left in the dark for too long. We must embrace our roles as witnesses, carrying the reality of the divine into the ordinary, and living in such a way that our lives draw others toward the source of true life. If this study has helped you view your challenges from a higher perspective and provided the encouragement you need to keep moving forward, I invite you to join our community of believers. Please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a study designed to strengthen your walk with God. Let us continue to grow, to learn, and to live as people who have been called out of the darkness and into His marvelous light. You are never alone in your journey, and your story, like that of Lazarus, is far from over.